Okay, going to continue on the next side of the worksheet. Remember that you're always wanting to make sure that you write everything in standard form first and then move on to vertex form. This here, the formulas we're going to actually use them today. We're going to keep using completing the square for now. So let's go ahead and move on from where we left off the last video. So I'm on the back. I'm going to go ahead and do number 9 and number 10. Okay, so that you guys can go ahead and do the other ones on your own. So if you notice here, this is actually not in standard form or in vertex form. They're telling you right here to write each equation from factored form, this is factored, to vertex form. Now the previous examples, I gave you something in standard form to write in vertex form. This time I'm giving you something in factored form to write in vertex form. So let's take a look at number 9. So the first thing you want to do is go from factored to standard, and that's where you're going to FOIL, where you multiply. So x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now if you look at this, you can actually combine like terms, which is what I'm doing now. Now that I have this, notice how now I have standard form. Now this right here, now you can do the method we used on the previous video, which is to kind of look and see, okay, can you factor anything out? So the only thing you can factor out is an x and technically a 1. You don't want to factor out the x because then the x squared will go away. And if I factor out a 1, it's not going to change anything, but you can do it if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it as x squared plus 8x plus 15. So now this is still a, b, and c. I'm going to take half of b, which is 4, and then you're going to have to square it, which is 16. That's the number we're going to be working with. So I'm going to be writing x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, remember we took out a 1 over here. I said that you didn't need it though. So if you multiply the 1 times the 16, that's 16, but the opposite of 16 is negative 16. So that's why I'm left with minus 16 on the outside. Now, if you factor this here, your a is 1. 1 times 16 is 16. You want to figure out what times what gives you 16, but also 8. That's 4 and 4. So we're going to be left with x plus 4 and x plus 4. Again, the fact that these are the same thing, that's a good sign. You're doing it correctly. And then minus 1. Let's simplify this a little bit more and clean it up. X plus 4 squared minus 1. Now that I've done that, I am officially in vertex form. So the vertex, remember you're always going to take the opposite of the inside. The opposite of the inside is negative 4. You're going to keep the outside, which is negative 1. And then your axis is just your x. And then these are your two answers. And now we're done. I'm going to do 10 now. That's probably going to be the last one that I do with you. And then you guys can move on to the other ones. So I'm going to clean this up here. Alright. Okay, so for the next one, same thing. This is factored form. Change it to standard and then vertex. So the 2 here, I'm going to ignore it for now because otherwise it's going to throw me off and then I'm going to get the wrong answer. So leave it to the end. So the first thing we're going to do is FOIL. Okay, so I'm left with 2 there. I'm going to leave it there. So I'm going to be left with x squared minus 3x. And then I'm going to be left with plus x. Whoops, I messed up. Minus 3x plus x minus 3. So this is what you have here. Okay, so x squared minus 3x plus x minus 3. I'm going to combine like terms and I'm going to leave that 2 out there. Minus 2x minus 3. Now that I've completely gotten rid of the 2 separate parentheses, now I'm going to distribute that 2. The reason I didn't do that before is because sometimes you guys will mess up and you forget that you already multiplied or you'll forget the step you're going with. So now I'm officially in standard form. From standard, I need to change it to vertex. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at these 2 only. And I'm going to factor out something that is not the x. I don't want to take out that x because I need the x squared. So I can actually factor out a 2. I'm left with x squared minus 2x minus 6. Now that I was able to factor out a 2, notice how the b changed from a -4 to a -2. Earlier, the b did not change. It stayed in 8 because I didn't take out anything other than 1. So now that I have a -2, I'm going to take that, divide that by 2, get -1. -1 squared is just 1. So the 1 is still what I'm working with. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 6. So now that your a is a 1, 1 times 1 is 1. What times what gives you 1, but also -2? I'm going to be left with -1 and -1. So then I'm going to have 2 and x minus 1, x minus 1, and then your minus 6. Now, I forgot to do a step over here. Remember, 2 times 1 is 2. The opposite of 2 is -2. So my bad. So we have to do that here too. And I'm actually going to clean it up here instead. Sorry about that. Alright, so now that these two are the same thing, I'm on the right track. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as 2x minus 1 squared minus 8. This is officially my vertex form. Now the vertex here, remember that you're going to take the opposite of the inside, which is 1, keep the outside, which is -8, and then your axis is going to be just 1, and then you're done. Okay? So sorry, I kind of forgot to do a step here just to recap if you're wondering where this -2 popped up. Remember, you multiply your 2 times the number that you're balancing with, which is 2 times 1. The opposite of that is -2. That's how this turned into a -8. I just forgot to do that step, and then I realized. So go ahead and do 11 and 12. Right now is probably when you should probably maybe pause the video and then try doing those two if you haven't already. And then I'm going to move on to the next part at the bottom of the worksheet. Alright, so now for 13 through 18, this is where we're going to use the formula up here that we had in the beginning. So to recap, remember I told you that you were going to be given something in either a standard form or factored form, and you have to write it in vertex form by completing the square. Well, there's also a faster way to do that, okay, which is using this formula right here, okay? So this is to find h, this is to find k. So in order to find h, you're going to go ahead and do -b over 2a. Once you find that value, you're going to plug it back in to find your value for k. Now, your k is equal to the entire equation. So once you find h, you would go ahead and substitute it into for the rest of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first example. Right, 13, yeah. So identify the vertex and the axis using the formula. Do not complete the square. Okay, so if you use the same method that you were just using in a little bit ago, you will get it wrong. This is using the formulas only. Okay, so our formulas were to find your h, you're going to do -b over 2a. To find your k, you're going to substitute into f of x or whatever the value you or whatever g of x, h of x, whatever you have. So for this one, the first thing I'm going to do is, okay, this is my a, my b, and my c. I'm going to look at my b value, and my b value is a positive 36, which means that if it's a -b, it's now a -36. So I'm finding h right now. So -36 divided by my 2 times a, which is 2. So I'm going to be left with -36 over 4. And then you're going to have to simplify that, which will give you -9. This is your h value. Okay, you're going to use that value. Remember, your h is also x. So you're going to use this value, and you're going to substitute it into this equation. So I'm going to put right here also x. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and do f of x, or your k actually. And you're going to do 2 times -9 squared plus 36 times -9 plus 170. Now, I would really recommend you to put this in the calculator if you have one. So in your calculator, once you do all of that, your final answer should be 8. And if you're wondering how I got that, I just used the calculator. So this right here should be your 8. That means that for our vertex, so the vertex here, it's going to be your x, which is your h, and then it's going to be your y, which is your k, and then your axis will be -9. And this is how you would find your vertex and the axis without completing the square and doing all of the extra steps that we've been doing. However, you have to know both methods. And this is using the formula method. So now I'm going to go ahead and help you get started on 14. Sorry, I erased it. I didn't mean to erase that. I'm not going to do 14 completely. I'm just going to help you get started on it. So remember, your formula is -b over 2a, and then your k is your f of x. So for this one, this is a, b, and c. So your b is already a -14, and the formula requires a negative, which means that this b is now a +14, because you have a negative and a negative, which gives you a +14. But I'm going to write it just so that you guys can see. And then 2 times a is -1. So you're going to be left with 14 over -2, which is going to be -7. Again, this is your h. I probably should have put that here. So this is your h, also x. Okay, remember h and x are the same. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, but this time you guys will finish that one. I'm just going to help you. So now for k, you're going to substitute it. Remember there's a negative there, and you're substituting a -7 squared minus 14, substituting a -7 minus 59. And then you guys will find your final answer. Don't forget to give me your vertex. Don't forget to give me the axis. Okay? And then that will be your final answer. So you're going to do the same thing for 15 and 16 and 17. Remember that for 17, just so that you remember, this is your A, that's your B, your C is technically 0. This is your A, this is your C, your B is technically 0, okay? So B equals 0, C equals 0. So keep that in mind when you're doing the formula. And I also gave you the answer so you can check your work. For number 15, you're going to have to FOIL this first. Change it into standard form. So this right here is factored. Okay. I need you to change it into standard form by FOILing. And then you can go ahead and do the formula. So I'm not going to do too many of the examples of the formula because you're literally just plugging it in. But if there is an example or there is something that you need me to go over, just let me know, message me, or send me an email, whatever it is. I did provide you with the answer so that you guys can be able to check if you're doing it right or wrong. Again, make sure you're using these videos as a reference and not relying on some other stuff because you will be losing points. Okay, I've already talked to some people. So go ahead and finish this worksheet.